with Ours Garage. In this video, I'll be working on the Schumacher LD3 stock spec, steps 26 through 28. So let's get started. All right, so again, for this step, I've already prepped my bearings. Basically popped the seals off, cleaned out the grease, and oiled them. Look in the description below on how to do that. I have a video for that. All right, we have 4 shims included. We're also going to need our differential. So what we're going to do is we're going to install 2 of these shims that are 10 by 12 by 0.2 on each side. And then we're going to go ahead and install our bearing. This bearing is 10 by 15 by 4. It tells us to use these eccentric inserts to set the height of the differential. Now in the kit, it's telling us to use the low diff setting. I think that's wrong for the carpet setup. I believe that was probably more for the dirt setup. So what these do is you set the diff height based on your ride height, essentially. And what it does is it tries to have your axles parallel to the ground. So if you're running a high ride height, like for dirt, you want the diff to be in a low position to keep the axles level. But for carpet, since you're running a low ride height, typically anywhere from 15 millimeters to 13 millimeters, you want your diff in a medium or high position, so that way you can keep your axles pretty straight. So I'm gonna put mine in the high position. So you can see that they're eccentric, they're offset. So I'm gonna make sure that mine stay in the correct orientation on both sides. And then I'm going to just drop this in. And it looks like I have a little bit of play side to side, which I like. So I'm not going to remove any of those shims. If it's tight, you can remove a shim on one side, but everything moves nice and free like it should. So we will continue. So we can go ahead and install this camber link mount. We're going to install 2 M3 by 12 button head screws in this hole here and here, and they're going to install into this hole here and here. All right, that's it for step 26. We're going to set the chassis aside for now as we prepare our shock tower and transmission cover. So we're going to need our shock tower from the S2 bag, as well as bag 27. So this is the front of the shock tower. We have these countersunk holes, and then this is the back of the shock tower. There are no countersunk holes on this side. So we're going to install our ball studs in the second innermost hole. So it's going to be in this hole right here and this hole right here. And the ball studs are going to face the front of the vehicle. And we're going to install an M3 nylock nut on the back. Okay. Both in the same location on both sides. So now we're going to install our wing mount, and they're going to install from the back side of the shock tower in this orientation. They're going to offset themselves to the inside So we're going to install a screw, an M3 by 16 flathead screw through this hole, and this oval hole here is where we're going to install this little boss on the wing mount. So it's going to end up looking like so. So we're going to install the flathead screw. It's going to go through the wing mount, and then we're going to install an M3 washer and an M3 nylock nut on that screw. Now we can install the wing buttons. The wing buttons we're going to leave loose since we're going to have to install the wing later, and that's going to be done on step 36. So we're going to install the M3 by 12 button head screws in the wing buttons, and then we're going to just tighten a few turns into the wing mount itself. So that is the end of step 27. We can move on to step 28, which is going to be installing the shock tower onto the transmission cover. So we're going to install 4 M3 by 12 button head screws through these 4 holes in the shock tower, and they're going to install it into these 4 holes in the transmission cover. So just line up like that. The shock tower is now on the transmission cover. So now we can bring back our chassis. Before we install the shock tower transmission cover, we're going to add a little bit of grease to the gears. I like to use this ProTech Premier White gear grease, or you could use the lithium grease that came provided in the kit, but I've used this for years and haven't had any issues, so I'm going to go ahead and continue using this. So a little bit goes a long way. As you can see, I'm not putting that much on the gears, and as I spin, it'll coat the idler gear and the top shaft as well. So this will help lubricate it and keep the noise down a bit. All right, now we can install our transmission cover. We're going to line up these 4 holes with these 4 holes. And we're going to install 2 M3 by 14 button head screws in these 2 holes here in the front, and M3 by 20 button head screws in these 2 holes here in the back. All right, everything still moves nice and free. So that's it for step 28 and this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Let me know down in the comments if you have any tips or tricks for this step that'll help out the community. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.